Etsy ads are lying to you. And I'm going to say it one more time for the people in the back. Etsy ads are lying to you. I have given up so much of my time for so little return. We go through it in detail. It's a tool that you can apply to your business, and I guarantee you will be a lot more successful and a lot happier. I hope everybody is having a fantastic day. Today we are talking about Etsy ads and why they are ruining my life. First off, if you've ever feel like you've just been working like crazy, getting a million orders, getting them all out the door, and you don't ever even have a second to breathe, and then that Etsy deposit, or actually it's like ding, Etsy deposit, email notification, yes, thank God. And you look and you're like, what? That's it? Why? Let me tell you why. Do you have Etsy ads on? The answer is most likely yes, and we're gonna expose it today. This is a complete guide, super in-depth, and in the end of the video, I share with you my exact document. You can plug your product, your cost, your information right into the document, and it's gonna tell you, are you actually profitable? And I'm talking about net margin. Is that money in your pocket? Because Etsy is tricking you, and we're going to show you everything they're doing to confuse you about Etsy ads and leave you in the dark, confused, and padding and lining their pocketbook and not your own as a small business owner. And that is very hard to deal with, especially with how competitive, how tight margins already are on marketplaces like Etsy. So I said ROAS. What is ROAS? ROAS is return on ad spend. Every time you're spending a dollar, you're making some sort of money in return on a sale. Etsy treats it as if you are only worried about spending that money on ads and returning that dollar spent on ads. Forget about your product cost. That doesn't matter, right? The way Etsy ads is set up is to secretly diminish your margin. There is propaganda all over the website that tells you return on ad spend of 1 is great. So I've been working on this for months, developing this spreadsheet, this information, and trying to figure out how to maximize my margin for my time involved, especially because time is so critical to everybody. And I am, in fact, a new father. So I need to spend time with my family, not doing orders for free so that Etsy can still make their same listing and transaction fees on that sale, and I can make 1/10 of the margin or less, even less than 1/10. I'm talking about like a 3% margin on a sale on an Etsy ad. They still make the same amount of money, and I did all the work for free just so that I could have one extra sale and make 3 cents for the same amount of work. Unbelievable. So if you're like me and you're thinking that the return is just not adding up when you look at the numbers without doing a crazy deep dive into everything, this is most likely why. So let's look at it right now. So we're gonna go through an in-depth walkthrough of what's going on the Etsy platform right here, and then we're gonna go through my spreadsheet and we're gonna show you how to actually calculate it. Now it's very important that if you really want to know the answer to maximizing profit for your time invested, that you watch this video through all the way and take notes on the details, okay? So really quickly, when we click on the first help button shown right here, you're gonna see this is what it looks like. So here we are on screen. This is where it takes you to seller handbook, okay? So as we scroll down, they're going to talk to you about a bunch of things, okay? They go through, all your advertising terms, click-through rate. So you're going to see that on there is CTR. What that means is how many people are seeing it, and then those people that are seeing your ad, are they clicking? Higher click-through rate is always good. That means your listing image, your title, it's working. But that also implies that Etsy's targeting the right customers. We'll get into that later. You're going to have conversion rate. That's the ratio between visits and completed orders. So how many people are going, clicking, looking at your actual listing, and how many people are buying it? That's your conversion rate. You always want that number to be as high as possible. You don't want people clicking off of your listing. Here we have cost per click. Okay, this is what your ad is going to be costing you. Your ad spend comes from cost per click. Etsy is going to charge you every time somebody clicks on an ad. Pick out your budget and go through that, and then every time somebody clicks, you're paying for it. Even if they don't buy. So if they buy, you're paying for that click, and if they don't buy, you're still paying for that. So then you have ROAS, return on ad spend. In my opinion, this is the absolute most important thing to look at large scale. Okay, you're gonna want to know what is going on here. So here they put for every dollar you spend on advertising, how many dollars in revenue are generated. So for example, let's break this down super simple. Let's say your product costs $10. Okay? You run $10 in ads and you get one sale. The $10 you spend on ads equals $10 in sales because you sell your product for $10. That's a ROAS of 1. Every dollar you spent on ads, you made $1 in sales. That's 1. They're calling that break even. I'm calling that you losing your butt because you still have a $10 product you have to pay for out of pocket to make and send to the customer. You're doing charity work. So they don't really deep dive on net margin. They just let you know the top view stuff. They try to compare themselves to Amazon and Facebook and Google. Then we have ROAS benchmark. So they're telling you an average ROAS of 2.9 on Amazon. An average ROAS of 2.9 on Amazon. Okay. I don't know how you're going to apply that to your business on Etsy, but they're trying to tell you that look for 2.9. When we look at the spreadsheet, you'll see 2.9 can maybe be getting you nowhere, especially if you have a low purchase price item, your margins are about 50%, a ROAS at 2.9, you're going to be making nothing. They recommend, of course, running everything for 30 days. Why? Because it makes them a lot of money. Just run it for 30 days. I have news for you. If your product's not doing well in the first 7 days, it's most likely still not going to be doing well after 30 days. Their algorithm doesn't just magically correct itself and just make you $1 million on day 30 when it was still doing bad on day 7. So you're going to want to keep a very close eye on it at all times. If it's not performing well right away, keep a close eye on. Don't always wait 30 days. It depends to the pricing point of your product. If it's a very cheap product, you may be able to make that judgment call earlier. If it's an expensive item, you may need the 30 days. A lot of it also is going to be knowing your conversion rate. How many views are you getting on that listing and how many clicks? So you can kind of judge. I know my conversion rate's around 2%. And if I have 100 people going to my listing, it should sell about once or twice after 200 views. If you're not really hitting that, something's not right. They might be targeting the wrong people. We need to shut that ad off. If the listing is getting a lot of views, okay, that's good. If your views are low, revisit your tags and titles. This, it's not because their ad platform has minimal customization and they could be targeting the wrong customers. Just revisit your tags, your titles, and run it for another 30 days. They are tricking you. What you need to know is if your product is already a winning product and then you go and put it on ads and it's still is not adding up, like you're getting sales, but they're charging you so much, they're still putting it in front of the wrong customers. Those customers are clicking and not buying, and you need to figure out why that is. Maybe thumbnail, maybe title, tags, lack of features inside of the Etsy ad platform. They barely allow you to tweak keywords. It's really messy inside of there. It's nothing like Google or Amazon ads like they try to compare themselves to. One thing I really want to touch on here for your ROAS is they're just talking about every dollar you spend on advertising, what is that generating in revenue? They're not touching any other cost associated with the business. Materials, packaging, shipping, labor, taxes, Etsy's 8 different fees. The list goes on and on. And then what about time invested? They're not telling you any of that to worry about with your business. They don't care about their business. They just want to do Etsy ads look good to you when it's presented in the dashboard. They don't want to teach you how to run a profitable shop. And that can be very tricky because you're like, look at all these sales. I'm above their benchmarks that they told me that are average. I'm still working my butt off. Etsy deposit comes in and it just doesn't line up. I was there until I made this discovery that the platform is just really blindly sending you in the wrong direction to make sure that they're generating more sales, which they are. So they're making more money. You're doing that work for free. Your labor is free for them. You're eating product costs. It's really messy. What they don't tell you is you want to be like ROAS of 10 plus to really be making money and being profitable. Now, of course, in the marketing world, they might tell you this is impossible, but you have to decide, is it worth it as a small business owner to give up your time for lower margins? Is it worth it to you? I mean, that's a personal decision. And for me, it's not. My time needs to be paid back as quickly as possible at the highest amount possible so that I can either spend time on my business, growing it, or spend time with my family. Every time they tell you, have you made any sales? If so, congratulations, your ads are working. Working means my ads are making me money. I'm a profitable business. I'm here for a business. I'm not here to do this for free so Etsy makes money. This is very misleading. They don't address anywhere in here how to calculate actually being profitable on your ads for your Etsy shop. And then I'm sure they're going to tell me somewhere, just wait another 30 days. Do it for 30 days longer, make us that money, and then you can readjust and try it again for another 30 days and wonder why you're in a vicious cycle of never making any money. Etsy deposit comes and you're like, what? I worked for free again this week. Why? I have so many sales. Okay, so if we click on the next link, quick tips for taking your Etsy ad campaign to the next level. So here again, they're going to go through all of your terms. Again, this is good. They're talking about for every dollar spent on advertising, how many dollars in revenue are being generated. Again, they're never talking about your costs, your expenses. When you run a business, it's not only revenue. You have a lot of expenses and costs of doing business, and you need to make sure those line up. The Etsy ad platform was set up for you to just run a successful shop. They would be talking about way more things other than just adjust your listings and see if you get more sales. They're never talking about the bottom line or the back end. Okay, click-through rate. Here they're going to tell you just make adjustments to your listing as usual, clean up your photography, update your titles and tags. They're never going to tell you we give you minimal control. We could be targeting the wrong audience, the wrong keywords, but we don't really allow you to set up negative keywords that well. They really are tricking you into thinking that it's your listing is the problem and it's not that their ad platform is just decades, years behind the other competitors' platforms out there. They are trying to over-embellish what the platform is capable of. Now, don't get me wrong. If you pay for Etsy ads, they're going to put it out there in front of 1 million people, but is that the right customer? That's when you get in. Keywords are such an important part of ads. You get into long tail keywords and things like that. That's when you are really making sure you're finding a target buyer. Your targeted buyer is what's going to make you profitable. Just paying to get your listing out there in front of people and hoping for success, it's not going to ever do well for a small shop. It's not ever going to be profitable. If you're Coca-Cola and your goal is just to be in front of your customer 100 times before the end of the year, then that's what you want. Let's get out there in front of everybody's eyes. I don't care what my return is. My goal is to get in front of people's eyes because that converts to sales. It does convert to sales. It just might not be that profitable. So after going through all of this and seeing that Etsy's just kind of surface level educating you about how to make money on their platform with Etsy ads and did you get a sale that's working, I was like, I need a tool that actually allows me to run my business profitably. So after I started to get this hunch and I was like, all my time is invested on this for minimal return. Finance section doesn't just tell you like, oh, this is how much you made and this is how much you spent on ads, so this is how much you actually made. They don't really combine these data points on any dashboard. They keep them all in separate corners of this site, and in my opinion, it's so that you are making this mistake. You're not aware to what you're spending or your time is going into. They just keep the dollars hidden in different spots. So unless you have an expert accountant on staff deep diving into knowing all of your product costs, and you have built out so many spreadsheets to understand product costs, labor, materials, Etsy fees, spreadsheet after spreadsheet after spreadsheet, that's what it takes to know how profitable you are down to a micro level. And they know they're using that to their advantage, knowing that you don't understand. You're not probably managing your business to that micro of a level. And if you are, congratulations, you are years and years ahead of me. I give you a lot of props. I have overlooked this for way too long. I'm embarrassed to admit it. But I made the spreadsheet, so let's take a look at that. Here is the Etsy ROAS Master Guide, okay? I've placed screenshots here from your Etsy dashboard on where you can find these. So here, this is for your listing stats, and then this is a screenshot of your listing stats inside of the Etsy ads platform, which you can see right there. So the one thing you always want to make sure you're comparing apples to apples. We have this year. So I put the whole year in there, and I put the whole year in here. So you want to make sure you're looking at the same picture, apples to apples, ad spend, listing spend. And then you're going to plug it into this spreadsheet. So I show you exactly what data points you want to look at and where you want to plug those in on the spreadsheet so that you can take this spreadsheet, links down in the description below. You get free access to it. It's completely free. Fill it out for all of your products and so that you can see what I am doing. So let's get into the data input side. So right over here, I have gone ahead and put everything for you to see right here. So product name, you can put whatever your product is right there. Units sold, you're going to pull that off of right there. Total units sold for the year on your listing stat. So make sure you go to the listing, go to your listing stat, and you're going to plug that in there. Total revenue. What is our total revenue? So this revenue right here, This is including all Etsy ads and organic sales, but it doesn't tell you which is which. Okay, so they're gonna put that, we're gonna input that right here. Total revenue, average sales price. It's gonna calculate it for you right away. Basically, this is here because a lot of people have variations. Some variations cost more than others. This is just gonna tell you, you sold so many units at this much revenue, your average sales price is right here in the middle, just to give you an idea. Then these purple colors these are fill in on your own. These are manual. You'll have to calculate these offhand. So you'll need raw materials. What are your cost of goods sold? You know, if I'm making a mug, how much does my mug cost me? How much does the ink cost me? So on and so forth. Direct labor. Now, if you're paying for labor, if you're paying yourself, if you're paying a family member to help you out, what is the labor that's going into that? Or are you hiring, you know, graphic designers on Fiverr or anything like that? What labor is going into that product? And then packaging. You know, what am I shipping this in? The box, the label that we print, the tape, packing materials to make sure this mug arrives in one piece, everything that goes into getting that product out the door. Then we have net shipping. You're gonna have to calculate it on your own. What are you charging for shipping? So a lot of Etsy sellers charge flat rates. Some people do calculated. I, for example, charge a flat rate. And then I know you're gonna have to find out on your own kind of what your average cost to ship is this product. I know prices range depending on where it's going and the service that they use, but you should have a pretty good feel for it. I'm sure you can download the reports in Etsy if you really want to dive into it and figure out, but I have a really good idea. I print 1 million labels a day. I kind of know what they're costing me. I'm putting an average, I'm eating $1 on shipping. You know, let's say I charge $4 for shipping. Shipping costs me $5. I'm eating $1 every time I ship that product out just to keep my costs lower, be more appealing to the customer. And then we have Etsy fees. This is going to calculate on its own. Etsy's bajillion 8 fees that they charge you for everything based off of your average sales price. So this is just an average cost of what it's going to cost you to create. Okay, so you input all of that data and then you input down here in this box. This is your ad portion. Okay, so go back here. You're going to want to make sure you go to the Etsy ad dashboard, click on your specific product, make sure that your time frame is the same as above, apples to apples, and then you're going to input your revenue and your spend. You put that in there and then it's going to calculate your ROAS. Now, I believe Etsy ads also calculates your ROAS, which you can see right here. They've included it for you. That number will match. So that is kind of a way that you know that everything looks good. Now we get into the juicy details that Etsy will not share with you. So here we start to look at our margin with ads and our margin without ads. Okay, really quickly at a top level, we can see our margin with the ads. Okay, total margin, and then we see our total margin without ads, and we can see that the difference. How much more did we make with ads versus without ads? And for this product, it's $14.94. So what does that mean? We're gonna go down here to the supporting computation to understand what those numbers mean. So this is telling me that I've only made $14.94 more with ads than if I had no ads. I would have $14.94 less. Is that right? Let's look. So here we have a supporting computation. You're going to see what the average revenue is. Of course, that should match your total cost. That's coming from up above. We input all of that data. It's calculating your margin per order in dollars and your margin per order in percent. Okay, now this is net margin. I'm talking about what's hitting your pocket after paying for the product, the goods, the shipping, the everything, the Etsy fees. We want to know how much we're actually making. I don't want to just look at gross numbers. You know, I'm not making $5 billion a year in sales, so I know that my number is 1% of a billion. I'd still take that as a paycheck, if you know what I mean. So this is what your true break-even ROAS is, 1.88. They tell you it's 1. Clearly, I need to make more than 1 to break even because I have a product cost associated with this product. Going down here, this is where we start to compare it and really understand what's happening. So all of this is getting calculated for you. It's gonna look at how many of your sales were organic, how many of your sales came from ads, and what was your total sales. So this will match your numbers that you input, your numbers from your Etsy dashboard, and then it's gonna tell you what your margin is. We already know what our percent margin is. Then it's gonna tell you the net margin that you made in dollars before buying any ads. Okay, so that would have been $700 on organic and a $15.87 on ads. That's pretty good. So for a total of $23.20 and 30 cents. Wow, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of margin. Now let's subtract our ad spend. Organic is 0 and ads was $1,573. That's almost $1,600. What? Is that right? So if let's just say ads, I had $2,900 in sales. My margin's 53%. I'm bringing home to the bank 1587. Now that's a payday. But wait, I still have to pay for my ads, okay? How much did my ads cost me? 1573. I'm literally bringing home $15. So our total margin, organic, of course, we're not paying for ads. So that margin, we're bringing it to the bank. That's $732. And we made $15 left over from ads for a whopping $747 total. So what does that mean? Of all the money I made in profit, $732 of that came from my organic sales and $15 came from ad sales. Now keep in mind, ad sales was $2,900 in revenue. Organic was only $1,300. But yet I'm getting $1,300 in organic sales. I'm bringing home $700. But when I make $2,900 in ad sales, I'm bringing home $15. And Etsy's like, oh, your break even was 1 ROAS. Good job. You're at 1.9. You're making money. I mean, yeah, we're making money, all right, about a penny an order. But guess what? They made the same amount of money on all of your organic sales and your ad sales because they charge the same flat rate fees for all of it. So they made their money. They're running to the bank and we are sitting there like the Etsy deposit came in. Oh, it's 1 penny today. So this is the yellow section here. This is going to tell you, basically, we're going to start to look at workload. So like I had mentioned, this $732 is 98% of our margin. So our total margin was $747. 98% of that money that we made came from organic and 2% came from ad sales. 2% of the revenue came from ad sales. What does that mean? Let's figure out how many organic sales that was. We were talking in dollars before. Now let's look in units sold. So we have our $1,300 in revenue. Divide that by average sale prices. That's how many units we sold, okay? 317 organic. That's a lot of units. That's good work. How about ads? Okay, we sold 2,900. Divide that by our average unit sale price. That's how many units sold. 688. Holy cow. That's twice as many orders, but it made us 98% less money. You're doing 2/3 of your work for 2% of your margin. So right here, percentage of units sold, 68%. That's a little over 2/3 of all of your work for the year went to make you $15. 1/3 went to make you $700. What is even the point of an Etsy ad? To make Etsy money, not to make you money. So shut it off because they don't allow you to customize anything in their platform. If it's making them money, they're making the same amount. Go take the time and work on your business. Come out with the next product. Take your time to go enjoy your weekend with your family because why do 2 times the work, 3 times the work for no return? Just mind blowing. Can you imagine doing 300 orders for $700? Not bad. And we're going to do another 688 this year, but you're getting $15 extra. So if I told you I have $732 for you, I need 300 units made. If you want a little bit more money, I have $747 for you. Yeah, that's about $15 more, but I need 688 more units. I'm looking for a total of 1,000 units for $747, or I'm looking for 300 units for $732. $15 difference for triple. 66% more orders. That's 66% of your time out the window. Unbelievable. So down below, we have the exact same thing. What does our margin look like if I don't have any ads? So like, let's say all these numbers in the table up above are confusing you. I just want to shut my ads off. Where am I going to be at? What's that look like in comparison? So let's shut our ads off. We're at 732. What does that look like from the table above? 747. That's it. Shut your ads to 0. There's so many numbers here. In this column, you're just thinking like, wow, that's so much work in sales and revenue. If I shut it off, where am I going to be? I'm going to be $15 less than my total. $15. Unbelievable. Let's say the numbers work out in your favor. Your ROAS is like 10. And these numbers are just like, wow. You know, my organic sales, I've got a 53% margin. Ad sales, I've got like a 40% margin. Like, who's complaining about that? Life's good. I want a plan. So let's say here you put your targeted ad spend on Etsy. You pick your daily budget. You can put whatever you want. Let's say my budget's $30 for this exact product that I've put in here. It's going to tell me at different ROAS levels what is my percent margin after all of my cost is associated. I don't want to just know my ad spend return. That is a metric that, so you put it in $30 I want to spend, just say for an imaginary time frame. Time frame doesn't really matter in this picture. This picture is only about how much you want to spend on ads, how much are you making, and what is your margin. Now, Etsy recommended, remember, a 1 ROAS, okay? Now, this is telling you at a 2 ROAS on this product, you're making, can I put that in red? You're making a 3% margin. 3% at a 2 ROAS. They told you 2.8 is average, and that's good. 2.8 puts you at a 17% ROAS, 17% margin. Up above, you're working for 53% margin. Down here, if you take the industry average and settle for that, you're going to make 17%. I guess that's a little bit better than 3%, but you're not even at 20% margin yet. You know, to hit 20%, what do we got to look at? We got to hit like 3.5 maybe. Let's see. That's 24%. You know, you need a 3 ROAS, a 4 ROAS, 5, 6, 7, 8. Like I said, 10 ROAS. Now we're in the 40s, or in 8 ROAS. We're in the 40% margin. We're taking a 10% hit on our margin for ad spend. I mean, ideally, that's where you want to be, right? I would do 66% more sales at 40% margin, then take it at 3% or less. Absolutely unbelievable. This down below, it just lets you play with the numbers a little bit. You're not going to want to change anything at all inside of this chart. You can change your ROAS numbers so that you can get a better idea in your ad spend up here, okay? And that's it. It will kind of let you know what your numbers will look like, projected income, your net margin, and then what's your profit margin in the end. That's the most important part. That's why we're here to begin with. We're not here to do this so Etsy can make more money and we're busy doing it for free. Now, if you look over here, we have gone ahead and put everything here into text. So this is going to summarize it for you. So you don't even have to go crazy through the chart. If you just want to look over here, this is a fantastic thing. Right here, it tells you current profit with ads on, $747. Yes, we were able to verify that over here. Right there, $747. We know that is correct, okay? Now, where is that profit really coming from, right? Okay, 98% of that comes from people who find you organically, which is $732, and only 2% of that is coming from ads, okay? I mean, that sounds strange, but let's put that into orders instead of dollars. Orders. So out of a total 1,005 orders, 317 were organic sales, 688 came from ads. So like I said, you are just knocking out orders when they're coming from ads. For sure, it is keeping you busy all year long. You are like drowning in orders. It's only bringing you 2% of your profit margin, okay? So here it's telling you ads bring you 68% of your orders, but only 2% of your profit. To me, it's a no-brainer. Shut it off. It's not working. So here it's going to tell you if you shut your ads off, what does that mean? Like, okay, it seems scary. I don't want to lose all these sales overnight. If you turn ads off, you will still keep $732 of your profit out of the 747. You're only going to lose out on $14.94, even though it drives the majority of your orders. So here, it's the brain for you. Too long, didn't read. Ads are hurting you. Ads are only 2% of your total profit. Please check out the spreadsheet. Let me know what you think. And for those of you that made it this far in the video, let me know if this helps you bring some clarity into your life. Let you restructure your life. I mean, just think what you can do with 66% of your time back. What are you going to do? You only gave up $15 to buy back 66% of your time? If the Etsy ad platform was way more intuitive and allowed you to do, you know, you can pay for bids and do tons of keyword research, long tail keywords, and shut things on and off, it works great. Maybe we can go into another video about the tweaks inside of the Etsy ad platform. But like, I'm getting keywords in different languages. German customers, French customers. I'm shipping from the US. I got customers from Germany and France searching in German, searching in French, and I don't want them looking at ads. Ads need to convert. I want a customer that's buying. It's so much harder to have somebody internationally purchasing to look at my listings and buy an international order. Shipping is through the roof internationally. They don't want to pay it. Their conversion rate is probably a tenth of what my customers in the US are. That's just the facts when you look at it. So what you want to make sure is you're shutting those off. To me, it makes no sense why we would have international customers. We're paying for ads on that. I mean, international customers probably make up like less than 5% of our total business. It's nice when we have it, and it's nice when they organically make those purchases, but I don't want to pay to be in front of all the customers in Germany. It's going to cost me an arm and a leg, not to mention customs issues and refunds. It's just a horribly built platform. We are demanding Etsy. Fix this, please. We are tired of it. We are so tired of it. At this point, I am ads off on everything. I have like 2 products in peak season that I might turn it on with, but at this point, I'm done. Buying my time back at an extremely good return. I'm gonna give up a little bit of margin, but we are buying our time back. Thank you for taking the time to join my TED Talk today. I know it was a ton of information, but I really have put my heart and soul into diving into this. Like, I can't explain how many pieces of scratch paper I wrote all my notes on, trying to figure out why do I feel like I am so bogged down and I don't have a second to breathe, and that Etsy deposit comes and there's just nothing. Thinking about it is bringing trauma back into my life. All right, we'll see you guys on the next one. My name is Quinn Sweeney, by the way. I am 10-15 years of Etsy experience, lots of online business experience. I'll be sharing my endeavors here. I have experience with pretty much all product types: handmade, print on demand, digital downloads, you name it. I've tried it. I've put in the time, the effort, the blood, sweat, and tears, the customer service. I've been through it all aspects of it. And at the end of the day, what your final judgment point is your margin. Make sure you know your net margin. Figure out your product costs. Figure out your business costs. Because in the end, maybe you're doing it for greater good of humanity, but I'm in this to provide support financially to my family, so I need to make sure that I'm maintaining profitability. Good luck, small business owners out there. Hopefully your Q4 is through the roof. It's that time of year. I hope everybody's doing fantastic with it, and we'll see you on the next one.